We can bomb the world to pieces, but we can't
Bomb the World by Michael Franti, here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Juan?
Well, President Barack Obama and Russian President Dmitry Medvedev have signed a landmark nuclear arms reduction treaty in Prague. The treaty calls for the United States and Russia to cut their deployed arsenals to 1,550 nuclear warheads and 700 missile silos and bombers each. Obama has called the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty the most comprehensive arms control agreement in nearly 2 decades.
Milestone for nuclear security and nonproliferation and for U.S.-Russia relations. It fulfills our common objective to negotiate a new strategic arms reduction treaty. It includes significant reductions in the nuclear weapons that we will deploy. It cuts our delivery vehicles by roughly half. It includes a comprehensive verification regime which allows us to further build trust. It enables both sides the flexibility to protect our security as well as America's unwavering commitment to the security of our European allies. And I look forward to working with the United States Senate to achieve ratification for this important treaty later this year. Finally, this day demonstrates the determination of the United States and Russia, the two nations that hold over 90% of the world's nuclear weapons, to pursue responsible global leadership. Together, we are keeping our commitments under the Nuclear Nonproliferation Treaty, which must be the foundation for global nonproliferation. While the New START Treaty is an important first step forward, it is just one step on a longer journey. As I said last year in Prague, this treaty will set the stage for further cuts. And going forward, we hope to pursue discussions with Russia on reducing both our strategic and tactical weapons, including non-deployed weapons. President Medvedev and I have also agreed to expand our discussions on missile defense. This will include regular exchanges of information about our threat assessments, as well as the completion of a joint assessment of emerging ballistic missiles.
While President Obama said the treaty will cut the U.S. and Russian nuclear arsenals by a third, arms control experts warned that the figure is misleading because the new pact uses different counting rules than previous agreements. Hans Christensen of the Federation of American Scientists said the new deal would represent an actual decline of only about 100 or 200 nuclear weapons, a reduction of only as much as 13%.
We're joined now by veteran journalist Jonathan Schell, leading advocate for nuclear disarmament and the Harold Williams Peace Fellow at the Nation Institute. His most recent book is The Seventh Decade, The New Shape of Nuclear Danger. His latest article in The Nation is Reaching Zero. He's joining us from Yale University. Jonathan Schell, welcome to Democracy Now! How significant is this signing today between the Russian president and President Obama?
First, let me begin by saying that I'm actually the Doris Schaefer Fellow at the Nation Institute, just to make that clear. But it's a very modest agreement. It's good. It's good that there will be cuts. There are other things that are positive in it. In the new nuclear posture review, the administration has decided to forego further testing. They've promised further rounds of cuts. All this is positive, but they're very, very modest achievements. And if I was watching the clip with Obama and Medvedev just now, and a question formed in my mind, and that is, why are these two gentlemen who were sort of whispering in a friendly way to one another and talking about their good personal relationship and chemistry and so on, why is it that after signing an arms control agreement, they are still aiming 1,550 nuclear weapons at one another? You know, it's enough still to blow up both of the countries many times over. And what this treaty leaves intact is the entire Cold War nuclear apparatus. You know, the number of weapons at the height of the Cold War was so high that it was really quite possible to cut them and cut them and cut them over the years since then without ever touching the sort of core of the matter, which is the ability of each country to blow up the other many times over, as I say. And so all of that is left sort of sailing on into the post-Cold War era, and it hasn't yet been touched or affected in any way. And so it's a very sharp limitation on the meaning of this agreement.
And Jonathan Schell, as you've noted in your article in The Nation, of the 23,000 estimated nuclear warheads in the world, 95% of them are held by these two countries, the United States and Russia. So really their ability or their willingness to reduce their arsenals is really at the core of what will happen in terms of nuclear disarmament in the world, isn't it?
Well, yes, you know, maybe this will reduce it. Obama used the figure 90%, 95% represented by the two countries' arsenals. And maybe this will bring it down to 85% or 80%, depending on how you count the cuts and so forth. But another aspect of this that's very key is that right now, as the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty Review Conference gets going in May, a kind of basic question has been placed before the world, and that is whether nuclear weapons are important for the security of nations or not. The United States has really given two answers to that contradict, because when they approach other countries in the world, the answer is no, they are not useful. You must not have them. And in fact, according to the new Nuclear Posture Review, the policy of the United States now is something that's rather surprising, and that is that if you don't obey the rules of the NPT, and if you do go down the road towards nuclear weapons, we may attack you actually with nuclear weapons. This is the new policy, which is quite striking. So that's one answer. But when it comes to the United States and its allies and Russia and so forth, the answer is quite different. And it turns out that we're going to need 1,550 of these things, and with no plan in the foreseeable future to go down to a level that would really be below the overkill levels that I was talking about before. Now, those two things don't mix well. The Posture Review has now done something that's new in American policy, and that is it's placed the non-proliferation objective as #1 in the policy list, and the defense of allies and all of that is only #2. But actually the #2 and the position taken there, holding on to so many weapons, badly undercuts the primary objective. And so there's a kind of a walking contradiction here that hasn't been resolved, certainly not by this treaty or by the Nuclear Posture Review that just came out the other day.
Well, and the signing of that U.S.-Russian nuclear arms treaty comes, as you mentioned, days after the Obama administration released a new national strategy for nuclear weapons. Under the new Nuclear Posture Review, the U.S. for the first